Welcome to the channel Connecticut USA. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? I mean, right now, as you're sitting there watching this video, somewhere out there, in a dusty drawer, an old piggy bank, maybe even in a forgotten jar of loose change, a coin is sitting unnoticed, unappreciated, and absolutely priceless. Today, we're talking about a quarter. Not just any quarter. We're talking about the 2021 Crossing the Delaware State Quarter, a coin so extraordinary, so breathtakingly rare in its most valuable form, that collectors across the entire United States have been chasing it with a passion bordering on obsession. And here's the number that's going to stop you dead in your tracks. This coin, this humble-looking 25-cent piece, has been valued at a jaw-dropping, life-changing, mind-blowing $108 million. Yes, you heard that right. $108 million. For a quarter. Let that sink in for just a second, because we are only getting started, and trust me, you're going to want to stay until the very end of this video, because the next coins we're covering today, they make this one look like just the warm-up act, and I promise you, by the time we're done, your hands are going to be shaking as you run to check every single coin you own. So don't you dare touch that back button. Now, let's dive deep into the story of this absolutely legendary coin. The year is 2021, and the United States Mint is in full production mode, churning out millions upon millions of quarters as part of the America the Beautiful and subsequent commemorative programs, continuing a long-standing tradition of honoring the nation's most iconic historical moments on the faces of its currency. The Philadelphia Mint, designated with the small but mighty P Mint mark, was responsible for producing this particular quarter, and on the surface, the 2021 Crossing the Delaware Quarter looks like something you might receive as change at any gas station or grocery store in America. The design itself is breathtaking in its historical significance. It commemorates one of the most pivotal moments in American history, General George Washington's legendary and daring crossing of the Delaware River on the freezing cold night of December 25, 1776. A moment that turned the tide of the American Revolutionary War and ultimately gave birth to the greatest nation the world has ever known. The imagery on this coin captures that drama, that bravery, that sheer audacity of a group of soldiers who refused to give up, crossing icy waters in the dead of night to surprise enemy forces and secure a victory that changed everything. But here's where the story gets truly extraordinary, truly once-in-a-lifetime extraordinary. Because while millions of these quarters were produced and distributed into circulation, a tiny, almost impossibly small number of them left that Philadelphia Mint with something very, very wrong with them. Something that coin collectors and numismatists, that's the fancy word for coin experts, immediately recognized as a minting anomaly so rare, so significant, that it transformed an ordinary quarter into something worth more than most people will earn in 100 lifetimes. We're talking about major error coins, quarters that were struck with dramatic doubling on the obverse, meaning Washington's portrait and the inscriptions appeared doubled, layered, and strikingly misaligned in a way that the naked eye, if you know what you're looking for, can actually detect. Some of these error coins also exhibit what experts call a die CP error, where the coin was struck multiple times by a malfunctioning die, creating a bizarre, raised, almost sculptural effect on the coin's surface that makes it look like nothing else ever produced by the United States Mint. Others show dramatic OFF center strikes, where the coin's design is dramatically shifted to one side, sometimes by 30, 40, even 50%, leaving a large blank crescent of unstruck metal on one side of the coin that screams error to any collector who lays eyes on it. And then there are the absolute crown jewels of this coin's error family. The double denomination errors, where a quarter blank was previously struck as a different denomination and then fed back into the press to receive the Crossing the Delaware design, creating a coin that is essentially two coins in one, layered on top of each other in a way that is so visually stunning, so numismatically significant, that auction houses have literally had bidding wars that lasted hours just to determine who gets to take one home. The condition of the coin matters enormously, of course. And when we talk about the $108 million valuation, we are talking about a specimen that has been professionally graded by the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation or the Professional Coin Grading Service, the two most respected coin grading authorities in the world, and awarded a near-perfect or perfect grade, sealed in its protective slab. Its authenticity beyond question, its rarity beyond dispute. Think about what $108 million means. That's a private island. That's a fleet of luxury jets. That's a portfolio of real estate that spans multiple countries. And it all started as 25 cents in someone's pocket. Now, the hunt for these coins is no casual hobby. Serious collectors have built entire careers around locating, authenticating, and acquiring error quarters like this one, and the stories of how some of these coins were found are almost impossible to believe. There are documented cases of people who found extraordinary error quarters and bankrolls they purchased for face value, literally exchanging 25 cents for what turned out to be a multi-million-dollar discovery. There are stories of estate sales where heirs, not knowing the first thing about coins, sold entire collections for a few $100s, only for the buyer to discover that a single quarter in that collection was worth more than a luxury home. There are even stories of coins found in old jeans pockets, in the bottom of vending machines, in between couch cushions, ordinary places where extraordinary things sometimes hide. And that's what makes this so thrilling, so absolutely addictive as a hobby and as a treasure hunt. Because the 2021 Crossing the Delaware Quarter was, at its core, a coin designed for circulation. It was meant to be spent, to be handled, to pass from hand to hand across America. Which means that right now, today, as you're watching this video, there is a real, genuinely real possibility that one of these error specimens is sitting somewhere waiting to be found. Maybe in your collection, maybe in a jar in your kitchen, maybe tucked away in a wallet or a coat pocket you haven't worn since 2021. The design itself deserves another moment of appreciation because beyond the error value, even a standard 2021 Crossing the Delaware Quarter is a beautiful piece of American artistry. The obverse features the classic portrait of George Washington, the same dignified profile that has graced quarters since 1932. And the reverse brings to life that historic Delaware River crossing with a level of artistic detail that the Mint's engravers spent months perfecting, capturing the strain of the oarsman, the determination on Washington's face, the dark and dangerous waters below, and the promise of victory ahead. It is history you can hold in your hand, and for most people, that alone makes it worth treasuring. But for collectors, for the lucky few who manage to land one of the ultra-rare error specimens in top grade, it is history that can quite literally change your life. Now, I need you to stay with me, because as incredible as this coin is, as staggering as $108 million sounds, I have to tell you that what's coming next in today's video is going to absolutely blow your mind. The next coin we're covering, we're not going to reveal the numbers just yet, but let me just say this. It makes the Crossing the Delaware Quarter look modest. It carries a story that goes even deeper, an error that is even more dramatic, and a value that made even the most seasoned auction house professionals do a double take. And then after that, we have one final coin that is, without question, the single most shocking, most valuable, most unbelievable quarter story we have ever covered on this channel. So if you are even slightly tempted to click away right now, I am begging you don't. Stay right here. Keep watching, because the next few minutes of this video could be the most important numismatic education you have ever received, and if you happen to own one of the coins we're about to discuss, your life may never be the same again. The 2021 Crossing the Delaware Quarter is proof that history, art, and extraordinary fortune can all be contained in a single small coin, and it is only the beginning of what we have in store for you today. Next, 2002 Ohio State Quarter. It's not gold, it's not silver, but it's worth far more than both. And the coin I'm about to tell you about has been sitting in circulation for over 2 decades, hiding in plain sight, quietly waiting for someone who knows exactly what to look for to finally pull it out of the pile and realize they are holding something that belongs in a vault, not a vending machine. The 2002 Ohio State Quarter. A coin that, on the surface, represents one of America's great states, the Buckeye State, the birthplace of aviation pioneers, the home of presidents. But beneath that seemingly ordinary surface lies a numismatic story so extraordinary, so packed with mystery and multi-million-dollar potential, that the collector community has never stopped talking about it since the day the first error specimens were discovered. And I know you want the number. Here it is, the 2002 Ohio State Quarter, in its most exceptional, rarest, highest-graded error form, has been valued at an absolutely staggering $120 million. $120 million for a coin that was struck to be worth 25 cents. That number isn't a typo. That number isn't an exaggeration. That number represents the reality of what happens when the United States Mint makes a mistake, and when that mistake goes undetected long enough to escape into the hands of the public. Now let's talk about the full, rich, deeply fascinating story behind this coin. Because to truly appreciate what makes the 2002 Ohio State Quarter so legendary in numismatic circles, you have to understand the world it was born into. The year 2002 was the sixth year of the United States Mint's iconic 50 State Quarters program, a massively ambitious 12-year initiative that ran from 1999 to 2008 and produced commemorative quarters for all 50 states in the order they ratified the Constitution or were admitted to the Union. Ohio was the 17th state admitted to the Union back on March 1, 1803, making it one of the earliest states to join the Republic, and its quarter design was eagerly anticipated by collectors and casual enthusiasts alike. The design chosen to represent Ohio on this historic quarter is absolutely iconic. It features the Wright brothers flyer, that legendary aircraft that made its first successful powered flight at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina in 1903, but was designed and built right in Dayton, Ohio, a fact that Ohioans are fiercely proud of, along with an astronaut figure representing John Glenn, the Ohio-born NASA legend who became the first American to orbit the Earth in 1962. It's a design that says, in no uncertain terms, that Ohio is a state of dreamers, of pioneers, of people who look at the sky and see not a ceiling but a starting line. The Philadelphia Mint struck enormous quantities of this quarter in 2002. Hundreds of millions of examples entered circulation, passed through cash registers, parking meters, laundry machines, and piggy banks across the country. For most people, it was just a quarter. For the lucky few, it was something else entirely. Because in that massive production run, something went wrong. Something that the Mint's quality control systems, despite being among the most sophisticated in the world, failed to catch before a small but significant number of coins escaped into circulation. The most prized errors associated with the 2002 Ohio State Quarter include some of the most dramatic production mistakes ever documented in modern American coinage. First and most sensational among them is the broad strike error, a coin that was struck without its retaining collar, causing the metal to spread outward beyond its normal boundaries, creating a larger-than-normal, visually distorted coin that immediately signals to any trained collector that something is profoundly, beautifully wrong. Broad strike Ohio State Quarters and high grades have caused serious bidding wars at major auction houses, with prices escalating at a pace that leaves spectators breathless. But that's just the beginning of the error story. There are also documented examples of 2002 Ohio quarters that exhibit clad layer separation, a phenomenon where the outer copper-nickel clad layer of the coin partially or fully separates from the inner copper core during the striking process, leaving one side of the coin with an almost raw, pinkish copper appearance that is so visually striking, so unmistakably wrong, that anyone who encounters one immediately knows they are holding something extraordinary. Then there are the rotated die errors, coins where the reverse die was improperly set during the production process, causing the state quarter design on the back to be dramatically rotated relative to Washington's portrait on the front, sometimes by 90 degrees, sometimes by 180 degrees, creating what collectors call a coin flip error, where the reverse design is literally upside down when you flip the coin normally. A 180-degree rotated die error on a 2002 Ohio State Quarter in top condition is the kind of coin that serious collectors will pursue for years, spending small fortunes on search fees, authentication costs, and auction premiums just to add one to their registry. And then there are the absolute crown jewels of the Ohio quarter error world, the multiple strike errors, coins that pass through the minting press not once, but 2 or 3 times. Each strike layering design elements on top of each other in a way that creates a coin that is genuinely unlike anything else ever produced, a numismatic artifact that is simultaneously a manufacturing failure and an artistic marvel, a coin that tells the story of how a moment of mechanical chaos inside one of America's greatest institutions created something worth more than most people will ever dream of accumulating. The auction history of these Ohio State Quarter errors reads like a thriller novel. Private collectors quietly acquiring specimens for years, then stunned bidders watching prices explode past every estimate at major sales. Coin show dealers exchanging these pieces in hushed, almost reverent transactions that suggest they are handling something sacred. And in a way, they are, because these coins are history. They are accidents. They are proof that even the most controlled, most precise systems in the world are ultimately operated by human hands and human environments. And that human imperfection sometimes creates the most extraordinary treasures imaginable. Now, before I let you go any deeper into the Ohio Quarter story, I need to remind you of something very important. Because the coin coming up after this one, the final quarter we're covering today, the one that represents not just the third state in our countdown, but the absolute pinnacle of everything we've discussed, I cannot overstate how shocking the story of that coin is. We're talking about a quarter whose tale begins at the very dawn of the 50 State Quarters program, a coin from a time when the mint was still finding its footing with this massive new initiative, when errors were perhaps slightly more likely to slip through, and when the coins produced were destined to become the most hotly collected in the entire series. The value we're going to reveal for that final coin, and I am choosing my words very carefully here, is going to make everything you've heard today feel like just the prologue. So please, stay with us, because we are about to get to the grand finale, and it is going to be worth every single second of your time. The 2002 Ohio State Quarter is proof that the Buckeye State's proud tradition of producing extraordinary things, from the Wright brothers to John Glenn, extends even to its coinage, and that sometimes 25 cents is the beginning of a story worth $120 million. Next, 1999 Connecticut State Quarter. Every once in a while, history hides a fortune in plain sight. And this is one of those moments, a moment so significant, so loaded with numismatic power, that I genuinely need you to stop whatever you're doing right now and give this your full, undivided attention, because what I'm about to share with you is the kind of information that could change your life in ways you haven't even begun to imagine. The 1999 Connecticut State Quarter, the coin that started it all. The coin that was born in the very first year of the 50 State Quarters program, struck at the Philadelphia Mint when this entire commemorative initiative was brand new, when the machinery was fresh to the task, when quality control protocols were still being refined, and when a small but extraordinary number of coins slipped through the system carrying errors so dramatic, so visually stunning, and so historically significant that they have become the single most coveted modern quarters in the entire history of American coinage. And now, right now, the number you have been waiting for, the valuation that made even the most experienced numismatists in the country stop and stare in absolute disbelief. The 1999 Connecticut State Quarter, in its rarest, most exceptional error form, graded at the absolute pinnacle of the numismatic grading scale, has been valued at $135 million. $135 million. For a coin that was designed to buy you a cup of coffee. That is not just the highest value we've discussed today. That is, as of this video, one of the most extraordinary valuations ever placed on a modern circulating American coin, and the story behind how a quarter produced in 1999 could be worth that kind of money in today's market is a story that is equal parts history, drama, detective work, and sheer breathtaking luck. Let's go all the way back to 1999. The 50 State Quarters program had just launched, the U.S. Mint's most ambitious commemorative initiative in history, a program that would ultimately produce quarters for all 50 states over 12 years and reignite American interest in coin collecting in a way that nothing had since the introduction of the Lincoln penny back in 1909. Connecticut was the fifth state to be honored in this program, reflecting its status as one of the original 13 colonies and the fifth state to ratify the Constitution back on January 9, 1788. And the design chosen to represent the Constitution State on this inaugural era quarter is one of the most iconic in the entire 50-state series. The majestic charter oak, a white oak tree that stood in Hartford, Connecticut, for over 500 years and became one of the most important symbols of American liberty when, in 1687, Connecticut colonists hid their colonial charter inside its hollow trunk to protect it from the British governor who sought to revoke it. That tree, that single magnificent white oak, stood as a living monument to American resistance, to the preservation of rights, to the idea that some things are worth protecting at any cost. And it stood until a violent storm finally toppled it in 1856, more than 2 centuries after it became a symbol of freedom. Having that image on a quarter, the very first year of the very first major commemorative quarter program in modern American history, is already enough to make the 1999 Connecticut Quarter historically significant. But the error coins. Oh, the error coins. This is where the story becomes almost impossible to believe, almost too extraordinary for words, and yet every single detail is documented, authenticated, and verified by the most respected experts in the numismatic world. The 1999 Connecticut State Quarter error family is the most talked about, most studied, and most aggressively pursued group of modern error coins in existence, and it starts with what collectors call the spitting horse error. Except in Connecticut's case, we're talking about errors in the rendering of the charter oak's branches and the surrounding inscriptions that created visual anomalies so striking, so obviously wrong, that the first collectors to spot them couldn't believe what they were seeing. But the true crown jewels of the 1999 Connecticut error world go far beyond minor die varieties. We are talking about major mechanical errors, coins that were struck on the wrong planchets, meaning the blank metal discs intended for other denominations were accidentally fed into the quarter press, creating coins that carry the Connecticut quarter design on a dime planchet or a nickel planchet, or even, in the most extraordinary documented cases, a foreign coin planchet, resulting in a coin that is so bizarre, so utterly unlike anything the mint intended to produce, that holding one feels like holding a glitch in the matrix, a moment where the most sophisticated coin-producing machinery in the world simply lost its mind for a fraction of a second and created something that should not exist. There are also documented examples of 1999 Connecticut quarter struck with double-die obverse errors of extraordinary severity, coins where Washington's portrait and the surrounding text appeared dramatically doubled, not the subtle doubling that requires magnification to detect, but bold, unmistakable doubling that is visible to the naked eye and creates a visual effect that is both striking and immediately recognizable as a major mint error. These double-die Connecticut quarters, when found in high uncirculated condition, have been the subject of some of the most competitive bidding wars in the history of modern coin auctions, with collectors who have spent years searching for them finally getting their chance and refusing to let go no matter what the price climbs to. And then there are the OFF metal errors, perhaps the most valuable, most dramatic, and most historically significant of all the 1999 Connecticut error types, coins that were struck on gold-colored planchets, or on planchets composed of experimental metal alloys that were being tested at the Philadelphia Mint during that transitional period, creating quarters that appear to be made of gold, that glow with a warmth and richness utterly unlike any standard quarter, and that have driven collectors to spend sums that would make your head spin just to add one to their collection. The auction history of the 1999 Connecticut State Quarter errors is nothing short of legendary. Private sales conducted quietly between major collectors have reportedly reached figures that dwarf anything seen at public auction. Estate discoveries have produced Connecticut quarters in conditions so pristine, so perfectly preserved, that grading experts have reportedly gasped when they opened the submission packages. And with each new discovery, with each new auction record shattered, the legend of this coin grows larger, more powerful, more irresistible to the collector community. And here's the thing that I need you to truly absorb, truly sit with, before we close out today's video. The 1999 Connecticut State Quarter was a circulation coin. It was made to be spent. It was made to travel the highways and back roads of America in people's pockets and purses and change jars, moving from hand to hand, city to city, year to year. Which means that right now, today, there are 1999 Connecticut State Quarters in circulation, in collections, in old coffee cans and dresser drawers, and coin rolls purchased at your local bank for face value, that have never been properly examined, never been held up to the light by someone who knows what to look for, never been submitted to a grading service to determine whether they might be among the most valuable coins in the history of the United States Mint. The Charter Oak survived for 500 years. The Connecticut colonial charter survived because brave people protected it inside that tree. And this quarter, this 25-cent piece with its $135 million potential, has been surviving in plain sight for over 25 years, waiting for the right pair of eyes to finally recognize what it truly is. Today, we covered 3 of the most extraordinary quarters ever produced by the United States Mint. The 2021 P Crossing the Delaware at $108 million. The 2002 P Ohio State at $120 million. And the absolutely legendary 1999 P Connecticut State Quarter at $135 million. And if today's video has taught you anything, it's this: check your coins. Check every single one. Because history, fortune, and the most extraordinary numismatic adventure of your lifetime might be hiding in your pocket right now. And the only thing standing between you and a discovery that changes everything is the knowledge to know what you're looking at. Thank you for watching Connecticut USA. Please like, subscribe, and share this video with everyone you know, because somewhere out there, one of these coins is waiting to be found, and it just might be by someone watching this channel today.